I'm going to tell you something most men completely misunderstand. Touch isn't just physical, it's emotional. And when it's done right, it doesn't just create attraction, it creates connection, the kind that feels safe, natural, and deeply memorable. But here's the problem: most men either avoid touch completely or they rush it, and both kill attraction. Because the truth is, it's not about where you touch, it's about how you make her feel when you do. And today, I'm going to show you 7 subtle, respectful ways of touch that build trust, comfort, and real emotional attraction. But before we go deeper, understand this one rule: if there's no comfort, there should be no touch, because attraction grows in safety, not pressure. Before we dive deeper, a quick message. If you've been learning from my videos and you want to support this work, you can subscribe to me on Facebook with a paid membership, send stars, or join my YouTube channel's paid community. Your support helps me create more powerful content for you, and I truly appreciate every bit of it. All right, now let's continue. Let's start with the first one. Touch number 1, the brief guiding touch. This is simple but powerful. When you're walking together, lightly guiding her by the upper back or elbow just for a moment. Not holding, not controlling, just guiding and then letting go. Why does this work? Because it feels natural. It shows presence without being invasive, and most importantly, it respects her space. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Touch number 2, the playful hand tap. During a light moment, a joke, a shared laugh, you lightly tap her hand or arm. Quick, playful, gone in a second. This kind of touch builds familiarity. It says, I'm comfortable with you, without saying anything at all. Now, don't miss this next one because it's subtle but very powerful. Touch number 3, the momentary shoulder touch. When you're making a point or sharing something meaningful, a light touch on the shoulder for just a second, then release. This adds emotional weight to your words. It creates connection without intensity. Now, here's something most men get wrong: they hold on too long, and that's where discomfort begins. So remember this: the shorter the touch, the more powerful it feels. Let's go deeper. Touch number 4, the high five turned soft hold. This one is playful but creates a spark. You go for a high five, but instead of pulling away instantly, you hold for just a brief second longer, then let go. That tiny pause, it creates awareness, and awareness creates tension, the good kind. Now, here's where emotional connection starts building. Touch number 5, the reassuring touch. When she shares something personal or vulnerable, a gentle touch on her arm paired with eye contact, no words needed. This isn't about attraction, this is about trust. And trust is what mature women value most. Now, listen carefully to this one because it's often misunderstood. Touch number 6, the slow withdrawal. This isn't about initiating touch, it's about ending it. When you do touch her and then gently pull away without lingering, without forcing, it leaves a subtle imprint because the moment ends before it becomes too much, and that's what keeps it positive. And now the final one, the one that ties everything together. Touch number 7, the natural hand connection. This only happens when there's already comfort. When the moment feels right, walking together, you briefly hold her hand. Not tightly, not possessively, just naturally. And if she responds positively, you continue. If not, you let go. No pressure, no awkwardness, just awareness. Now, here's the truth most people won't tell you: touch doesn't create attraction on its own, it amplifies what's already there. If there's no connection, touch feels forced. But when there is connection, even the smallest touch feels meaningful. And that's the difference between boys and men. Boys try to take, men understand timing, energy, respect. Now, let's talk about what really makes this work: presence. If you're distracted, nervous, overthinking, she feels it. But when you're calm, grounded, and aware, even the smallest gesture feels different. And here's something important: mature women aren't impressed by bold moves. They're moved by intentional ones, small details, subtle awareness, respect for boundaries, because that shows emotional intelligence. Now, let's go even deeper. Because knowing the 7 touches is one thing, understanding the invisible architecture behind them, that's where everything changes. Here's what most men completely miss: every form of physical touch is actually a question not spoken out loud but felt. And the question is always the same: is this okay? And her response tells you everything because comfort isn't just verbal, it lives in how she responds to each small moment. Does she lean in slightly after the touch? Does her body relax? Does she smile without forcing it? Or does she stiffen, pull back, look away? These responses are data, not rejection, not failure, just information. And the man who reads that information accurately and responds accordingly is the man she feels genuinely safe with. Because safety is the foundation everything else is built on. Without it, nothing else works. With it, everything does. Now, here's something that will shift how you think about all 7 of these touches. It's not a sequence, it's not a ladder you climb rung by rung. It's a conversation, a nonverbal conversation that has its own rhythm, its own pace, its own natural flow. And just like a verbal conversation, you don't force it. You don't rush to the end. You stay present in each moment and let it unfold naturally. Because when touch feels forced, it breaks trust. But when it flows, when it feels like a natural extension of the connection you're already building, it deepens everything. Now, let me talk about something that most content like this never addresses. What you're feeling inside matters as much as what you're doing outside. If your internal state is anxious, if you're touching her because you're trying to create attraction rather than expressing connection that already exists, she will feel that agenda. Not consciously, maybe, but somewhere deeper than thought. In the way your hand feels slightly tense, in the way your movement is slightly calculated, in the way it doesn't quite match the moment. And that mismatch creates discomfort instead of comfort. So here's the internal shift you need to make. Stop touching to get a reaction. Start touching to express presence. There's a fundamental difference. One is taking, the other is giving. And she always, always knows the difference. Now let's talk about timing. Because timing is the invisible element that determines whether a touch lands or falls flat. The same touch in the wrong moment feels intrusive. In the right moment feels electric. So, how do you find the right moment? You stop calculating and start feeling. The right moment isn't something you plan, it's something you sense. When the conversation reaches a natural high point, when laughter fades into a comfortable quiet, when she says something vulnerable and the air between you softens, those are the moments, brief, organic, unrepeatable, and the man who is present enough to recognize them and grounded enough to act without overthinking. That man creates experiences she doesn't forget. Now, here's something even more important than the touch itself: what you do immediately after. Most men make one of 2 mistakes. Either they pull away too quickly, as if they're unsure they had the right to do it, which communicates insecurity, or they linger too long, holding on to the moment past its natural end, which creates pressure. The right move, natural release. You touch, the moment lands, and then you let it go smoothly, without ceremony, without hesitation, and continue the conversation as if nothing extraordinary happened, even though something did, because that smoothness, that ease, says everything. It says, I'm comfortable here. It says, I didn't need that moment to mean something, but it did. And she carries that. Now, let's address something that doesn't get talked about enough: rejection of touch because it happens. And how you handle it defines everything. If she pulls back, if her body language closes slightly after a touch, the wrong response is to freeze, to apologize profusely, to become visibly rattled, because that makes it awkward for both of you. The right response, ease. You simply continue. No commentary, no big reaction, just smooth, unbroken presence. Because when you don't make it a big deal, it doesn't become one. And she respects that because it tells her you're not desperate for her approval. You're simply aware, and aware men are rare. Now, here's the deeper truth that ties all 7 of these touches together. Physical touch is a language, and like any language, the vocabulary matters less than the fluency. A man who knows 10 words in a foreign language but speaks them awkwardly communicates less than a man who knows 3 words but speaks them with complete ease and confidence. So don't rush to learn all 7. Start with one, the one that feels most natural to you. Master the ease of it, the timing of it, the release of it, and then build from there. Because fluency isn't about volume, it's about authenticity. And when your touch feels authentic, it lands on a completely different level. Now, let's talk about what all of this is really building toward, because the 7 touches aren't the destination. They're the bridge to something much more significant. Emotional intimacy. And emotional intimacy is what separates a connection that fades from one that deepens. When she feels physically comfortable with you, her emotional guard lowers. She shares more, laughs more freely, sits closer without thinking about it. And what you've built without a single forced conversation, without a single rehearsed line, is trust. Real trust. The kind that doesn't come from words, the kind that comes from how someone makes you feel over time, safe, seen, respected, and that is what she actually remembers. Not the dramatic gesture, not the grand moment, but the quiet, consistent feeling of being comfortable in your presence. That feeling is what makes her want to come back every time. So if you remember anything from this, let it be this. Touch is not a tool. It's an expression of presence, of comfort, of genuine connection. And when it comes from that place, it doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real, because real is the most attractive thing there is. Boys try to impress, men simply connect. And connection built slowly, respectfully, intentionally is what lasts. Real attraction isn't built in moments of intensity. It's built in moments of comfort, consistency, and trust. If this gave you a new perspective, if something landed differently today, make sure you like this video, subscribe to the channel, and go watch the next one. Because we're only getting deeper from here. The men who understand this don't just become better with women, they become better at human connection entirely. And that changes everything. Not just in relationships, in every room they walk into, every conversation they have, every life they touch. That's what we're building here.